This is the reason they lost the game. And yes, I understand it's a team game. I am not claiming, I want to be very clear before I explain this, Stephen A. I'm not claiming that this was the only play of the game, that this was a contest where this was the only play. I understand there were also other plays and factors. But here is the fact of the matter. With like 30 seconds left, if that's a touchdown, which it was, should have been, I mean, it was originally, it was a touchdown, then the odds that the Patriots, who need to score a touchdown unless the Steelers miss the extra point, which is very unlikely, score a touchdown to win the game are extremely slight, probably under 1%. Now, all other arguments, well, if Ben Roethlisberger just spikes the ball, blah, 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 if they hit the field goal, which is an assumption, they only go to overtime. Who knows? But on this play, a touchdown wins. Now, was it a touchdown? Clearly it was a touchdown. I want to explain this so everyone can understand, because there seems to be a giant problem understanding the rules. Okay, we all acknowledge that one knee equals 2 feet, correct? If your knee's down, right, you're down, correct? He's not down by contact. No one touched him. Now, the idea that you have to have the ball as you continue to the ground, that if the ball comes loose because it hits the ground, you haven't maintained possession, and therefore it's not a completion, is only if he hasn't established himself and made a football play. The knee came down, that's 2 feet. He then extends his arms, not simultaneously. After the knee is down, he extends his arms to break the plane. So he's established possession with the knee. The ball comes forward. If a single atom, if one atom touches the plane, it is then a touchdown. Anything that happens after that is irrelevant. There he is. He's established possession with his knee down. Watch this. Now he's established possession, and now he reaches, and it's a touchdown. The fact that after the fact, the ground causes a fumble or for him to lose possession is irrelevant unless he never established possession. If his knee was never down, that would be different. But it was. That's a touchdown. They're up 4 points. The Patriots have however many seconds to score a touchdown to send it or to win the game. Even a field goal, unless they miss the extra point, does not tie the game, does not send it to overtime. So yes, there were other plays in the game. We acknowledge that. It's like someone saying a must-win game. Well, mathematically, it's not a must-win game. By asking the question, we're acknowledging that. It's a figure of speech. It gets across a point that is more than literal. And that's what we're doing here. That's a touchdown. By the way, it was also called on the field a touchdown. So they need incontrovertible evidence to change it. And by misinterpreting the logic of their own rules, they took it away. That's the play that decided the game.
I don't view it that way. And here's why. First of all, I'm disgusted with the ruling because it's not a matter of it whether or not it should have been a touchdown to me. It's a matter of the fact that the whole completion was eradicated. Let's analyze it from that standpoint before I get into answering the question directly. He caught the ball with outstretched arms. He pulled the ball in. Then he extended, and that's when the ball came loose. But his knee was down by then. My issue with the play might be different from most people because most people are caught up in whether or not it should have been a touchdown or not. My point is the worst case scenario in all of this should have been that it was at least a completed pass, and no, you didn't get the ball over the end zone, over the goal line. So as a result, we're going to give you the ball at the half-yard line. That would have sufficed for me. If it wasn't a touchdown because, survive the ground rule was applicable here and they didn't believe he had control of the ball, and as a result of it, you didn't call it a touchdown, but you still acknowledge that he caught the ball before extending his arm to the goal line and trying to extend the football over it. So we're going to give you the ball at the half-yard line. Then I would have had no problem with it. The rule to me is completely bogus because you completely strip the completion altogether, which I think is just absolutely, utterly ridiculous, particularly when it's a running back and all you got to do is penetrate the goal line and then all of a sudden it's a touchdown. But if your knee is down, it's not applicable there. Well, he caught the pass, the knee was down, and if you want to sit up there and say he didn't survive the ground rule in terms of the extension over the goal line, It's not a touchdown, so be it. But the ball should have at least been at the half-yard line at the very least. But in terms of answering the question directly as to whether or not this indeed was the reason the Steelers lost the game, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that the New England Patriots in their offensive possession to take the lead after being down 24-19 with a little over 2 minutes left, going 80 yards in about 10, what felt like 10 seconds, for crying out loud, utterly disgust me. A 26-yard completion to Rob Gronkowski, another 26-yard completion to Rob Gronkowski, then a 17-yard completion to Rob Gronkowski, all on safety Sean Davis, by the way. And then after Deion Lewis runs the football in for a touchdown, Rob Gronkowski shoved Sean Davis aside like he was nothing for the 2-point conversion. So you got 4 completions right there, all right? 3 for about 68 yards to set up the touchdown, plus a 2-point conversion against a Steeler defense that I have been harping on for the last 6 weeks. That, excuse me, this defense is suspect. This secondary is suspect. And that was before Shazier went down. It was right around the time Joe Hayden went down, which shows you what he could mean to this secondary. But nevertheless, the absence of him, along with the absence of Ryan Shazier, who, by the way, would have been defending Rob Gronkowski instead of Sean Davis, to me, ultimately was the difference in this game, because guess what? As disgusted as I am with this caller's bogus rule, and by the way, somebody needs to explain to me how Mike Tomlin is on the competition committee and somehow, some way this wasn't addressed. Somebody also needs to explain to me why is Ben Roethlisberger wanting to spike the ball, but Todd Haley, on orders from Mike Tomlin, tells you to run a play, so the only individual that runs a pattern is Eli Rogers, and the Patriots, seeing it on film, anticipating that it's something that would happen because the Steelers did it before. Talk about transparency working against you. I think those two things, Rob Gronkowski on that final drive with Tom Brady, combined with the blown spike play that should have been but wasn't, or whatever the case may be, the combination of those two things ultimately overrules anything that happened on that final play. Because if you're Ben Roethlisberger, you are experienced enough to know that even if you didn't spike the ball and ran a play that you didn't want to run because Mike Tomlin insisted, he didn't tell you to throw that damn pass. That's the problem with this game. That's what led to this outcome.